All right. Good morning, Charles.
Good morning, Eli. Nice to be here with you.
Yes, thanks for joining me. Thanks for getting up early on your day off here and joining us.
Not a problem. My pleasure. Pleasure is all mine.
So, Charles, I really am grateful that you made the time to be here, and I really want you to know that we, my partner Nathan and I, we created this to acknowledge you. Um, to us, you are a hero that actually makes the freedom that we have in this country available to all of us. By you doing what you do every day, it creates a world that makes things possible for the rest of us.
Well, thank you. Thank you for allowing me to share my story and bring some cheer to your viewers. I appreciate that.
So I'm curious, right? How many years have you been a teacher?
I've been teaching for about 26 years.
Wow.
And it's been both in the private schools and public schools. And Eli, I've taught the whole gamut from preschool. I used to be a preschool computer teacher. Can you believe that?
Preschool computer?
Yeah, and
That's so cool.
I've also tutored at the college level.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
So you really have gone all across. And where have you like settled down these days? What's your focus right now?
Well, I work in a school at Rich Community High School in Davenport, Florida, and I'm currently an Algebra 2 teacher, and I love it.
You do? I, I
Oh,
would I would not be good at teaching algebra. I wasn't even good at learning algebra.
oh, well, it's good. It's good to be with the kids, and it's good to interact with them, and I have fun doing it. Even with COVID-19 and everything, we still have that interaction, and we still have that one-on-one, even if it's via the computer. It's still really worthwhile, and I look forward to it every day.
And speaking of looking forward to it, what's right there, I'm so curious, is what called you into being a teacher? Like, was there anything special that happened, or was there, how did you end up being a teacher?
Well, that's a good question. To be quite honest, Eli, it was not my first choice. I ended up doing engineering in college, industrial engineering, and I was actually looking for an engineering job. And I came to America. I'm originally from Trinidad, and I came to America, and I had a hard time getting a job. And I said, I'll just try anything. And this teaching position came up, and I called my dad in Trinidad and said, I have an interview for a teaching position, And my dad says to me, you know what, Charles, you have always been good with kids. You should really try it. And I said, really, Dad? Because it was never at the forefront of my mind, never, And so he says, you should try it. You'll be good at it. So I went in for the interview, and the guy loved me. And this was at an elementary school, And I mean, that was like the last place I would be teaching. But tell you what, the kids loved me. And and they had me, I was just like a filler teacher. I did whatever they wanted me to do. I taught PE, I taught math, I taught science, summer camp, you name it, I did it. I wore many hats, but it was all good. I really enjoyed interacting with the kids, and I really enjoyed, being an engineer. I really enjoyed showing them the practical purposes of what they were using, so I think the kids really appreciated that.
That's so cool. So you still took your foundation as an engineer and brought it into what you were doing. You just
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, even today, even with my Algebra 2 students, for instance, I'm part of our curriculum is learning about graphs and stuff, but I've incorporated that into a roller coaster project. So the kids design a roller coaster using mathematical functions. For example, I don't know if you remember your high school math. The sine and cosine function is actually a wave,
oh
and
yeah.
you might, being a doctor from your oscilloscopes and stuff, you see that wave. So that's one of the functions that they can use to create a roller coaster. But it's very intense. They got to use like 10 mathematical functions and give me the domain and range, which is the X and Y coordinates and stuff. And but it's fun. You should see the creativity that comes out. They do a better job than I would do to design a roller coaster, And when they do something like that, they say, yes, I can actually see when my math is being applied. I can actually see my knowledge come to life. So it's not boring, X and Y equations on the board. They can actually visually see where the hard work is being, um,
Oh,
being
I
shown.
love that because it makes it less abstract, I think, right? Like sometimes kids are like, well, why am I learning algebra? This is never, I'm never going to use this in my life. And here you are having them actually bring it to life. So it is real to them. It becomes something they can actually like get their hands around. I think that's
Absolutely.
really neat.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So speaking of that, because that sounds like a lot of fun, let me ask you, what's one of the most challenging aspects of for you around being a teacher?
Oh, definitely. And I'm sure all teachers will tell you this. The challenging part of being a teacher is definitely motivating your kids.
Hmm.
Because I understand, it's very difficult being a student nowadays. And I think, I hope parents and teachers and just the general public understands that it's very difficult being a student for a number of reasons. High expectations. Also, you have not a lot. School has become very intense. I'm not sure if you know the drill in school nowadays, but students don't have a whole lot of social time. There's no recess. Like back in my days, we used to have 2 recess and an hour lunch. Kids today only have 25 minutes of lunchtime. That's it.
What?
Uh,
No, and
yes,
no recess?
no recess, no free time. And
Wow.
yeah, it's really very, very difficult for kids nowadays. And I hope that changes. But long story short, I think for me as a teacher, motivating the kids has been a challenge. So I try to find different ways to motivate them.
Mm, that's
Yeah.
amazing, Charles. Yeah, I could imagine. Wow, I mean, of course, the challenge to keep them interested and engaged, but I'm still blown away by the fact that they took recess away.
Yeah. Yeah. And lunch is not even half an hour, 25 minutes. And it takes 5 minutes just to walk to the lunchroom. So, it's tough. I feel so bad for these kids.
So they're really under, what I hear is like they're under a lot of pressure. Like there's a constant push
Yeah.
to have them perform, but at the same time, it's hard to have them really um, engaged in what they're doing, like to really create that passion for them, right?
Yes, yes. There, a lot of students are often tired in class because, especially let's say you're teaching seventh period, they're already had 6 periods of intense work and they have to be working through all these classes because you might have an administrator come into the class observing you and your class, and they want to see the kids working, all 7 periods. And it's very difficult for the kids. It's very difficult for the kids. So keeping them motivated is and enjoying classes even through a very, very rigorous program is part of my job. And we try our best to help these kids out, and understand where they're coming from.
Do you find like I remember in school, there was when I was in school, I remember there was definitely that. There was like the push to perform and there was this seriousness, but there was also fun. Like I remember music class and PE class and sometimes like do you feel like there's still that aspect? Are kids still having fun in school, or is it really like a
Mm.
hard push to perform all the time?
I think there's a hard push to perform, but Eli, my job as a teacher is to make it interesting and to make the kids look forward to coming to class.
Hmm.
And sometimes at the end of class, they'll say, that was a fun class. And we find as teachers, we try to find ways that make the kids interested in what they're learning. Let me give you a quick example here. Um, when I was teaching middle school math, I had we were doing percentages and so on, and I decided to actually have the kids open up their own store inside the classroom. So each of the kids would create a product or sell something that they had, and they would have to raise it up by a certain percentage. And I tell you what, they totally loved it, especially kids that didn't even like math. They just like selling stuff. So I had one girl, she painted pictures, and other kids would actually buy it. Now they're not using real money, but it's they would want to buy it. I had this other student. He went out in the yard and he picked up pine cones, and we have a lot of those here in Central Florida. And in his booth, he was selling pine cones, excuse me. And I thought that was brilliant because he paid absolutely nothing for those pine cones except his time. And here he was making money selling something that cost him nothing, you know. So I thought that was super resourceful. So anyway, my point was the kids really enjoyed it. And, you know, months after that happened, they were like, man, we really enjoyed that class. That was really fun. So my point is that, yes, as teachers, we try to find different ways that bring out the kids' creativity and that they look forward to their class. So I think that's really important nowadays.
Sounds like you had some lucky students there, Charles. I don't know that every, you know,
But
the
thanks for saying.
what
I
what I love is you're doing it again, like the other example, you're bringing it into the world, like you're making it real for them. So it's not just some abstract idea, you know, but like, look, that's practical. I mean, I think even the youngest kids know these days they need money to thrive in life, and they want to have, you know, and so you're giving them that experience right off the bat, and it's really great. It actually leads me right into my next question, which would be, so what for you, like for you personally, what's the most rewarding part? Like, what is it about teaching that has you keep going?
hmm. Well, I think what it is I think it's a lot more than just interaction. You know, it's good to interact with people. You know, no man was created to be an island. But I think for me, I like to see creativity in people because I think we all have a God-given talent to be creative. You know, and when you see them apply things in math that they can use, that for me, that's really a motivating factor. Number one, bring out their creativity in math. I think that's important. Not just learning 2 + 2 is 4. You know, I like to see the creativity part, and I like to see them go on to using what I've taught them and to go on to a higher level and to apply it as well. You know, but yeah, it's all good stuff. It's all good stuff. Yeah.
So I hear you like to, like, what I'm hearing in that is you like to plant a seed with them.
Yes, yes, that's a good way of looking at it. Yes, exactly. When I'm teaching on the whiteboard or whatever I'm using to teach the kids, I love to use analogies, or I love to use examples from real life um, about how to use math. You know, so let's say, for example, I'm talking about composite numbers. Okay, composite numbers are numbers that have factors. So I would say to you, do you guys know what a composite material is? So even if they have no interest in math, they're like, okay, what is a composite material? I've never heard
I
of
want
it.
to know now.
Yeah, so I would say something like, look at the rims on a car tire. That's made of a composite material. It's simply made of 2 or more metals or other materials that they put together to form this composite. You know, and just like there's a composite material, we have composite numbers, which is a number that's made up of 2 or more factors. You know, and so you know, I just throw in little things like that. You know, I throw in little things like, you know, when we talk about speed, we might, you know, what is the formula for speed? But I'd say, do you know what the fastest car in the world is? You know, the guy's like, wow, fastest car. So, you know, it gets them interested in what you're teaching, you know. So I like to pepper my conversation with things that would interest them, you know. Or you're talking about negative numbers, you know, you talk about penalties in football, that's a negative number. You know, you talk about negative temperature, you talk about balance sheets having negative balances, you know. So there's different ways to draw them in, you know. And they're like, wow, that's cool, Mr. Anthony.
It's so great because as you're sharing it, I can tell your passion for what you're talking about. You're like getting excited as you're talking. You're like, you know, the examples you're giving, like I can just tell that this is something that really lights you up when you get to engage with the students like that.
Absolutely, absolutely. As a teacher as well, you know, and I hate to be selfish, but it makes it interesting for me as well because, you know, variety is certainly the spice of life. If you keep doing the same thing every day, it gets boring, you know. You got to throw things in there. I've always loved trivia. I've always loved trivia. So You know, I know a lot of trivia, so I throw that in, interesting facts, you know, to draw them in. But so it makes it interesting for me as a teacher as well, you know.
So you get
But
to combine your passions there. You bring some trivia in, your math in, your
yeah,
your desire to make a difference. So
absolutely.
so Charlie, I'd love to ask you also. So you know, as a teacher, you deal with the future of this country. Like you deal with the, you know, these are going to be our future leaders. They're going to be our future teachers. They're the future. So is there I guess what I'd ask you is, you know, is there like an overriding something that you're trying to impart in them, like, you know, something that you're always trying to teach them or leave them with as part of your journey with them?
Yes, a couple of things I try to instill in them, and I hate to sound cliche, but I really do instill in them that life is a marathon, not a sprint. And because sometimes the school year is long, and I tell them you're just gonna hang in there and try your best,
Mm.
you know. And as much as we as teachers try to motivate them, sometimes you know, they get a little disoriented. They get, you know, school year is long, especially this school year. So I just tell them, you know, hang in there, and you always save your best for the last. And just like a marathon run, you know, you save your best for your last.
Save a
And
little energy for that last sprint, right?
yeah, yeah. So I like to instill that in them. And of course, you know, I like to instill in them, never give up, follow your dreams. Again, it may sound cliche, but unfortunately, you know, sometimes we have kids growing up in one parent home. Sometimes they don't have a lot of,
One of the kids there.
yeah.
Oh.
Okay, Dad.
Hey, Dad, what are you doing?
I'm getting interviewed. Okay, go outside, Dad.
Why are you getting interviewed?
Sorry about that.
No problem.
That's what happens when you,
What was her name? Who is that? I'm
You
sorry,
know,
say it again.
she's 8 years old.
Oh, nice. And what's her name for everybody?
Her name is Cadence.
Cadence. All right.
And so-
Surprise. We had a surprise visit from Cadence.
yeah. So just getting back to my point. Yeah, I think what happens is that sometimes these kids, you know, coming from one parent homes, or you know, sometimes the parents are so busy, and you know, they just need a little extra motivation. You know, yes, you're good at that. You should try this out. You know what I'm saying? And we all have God-given talent. That's what I believe. You know, and even the ones that don't like math, you know, at some time in your life, you're going to have to use some kind of math, even if it's balancing a checkbook or something. You know, so I tell them that it's still important, and you know, and I show them that I really do care for their success. You know what I'm saying? The kid that's sleeping on their table, I go over there and I say, you know what, I really care for your success. I really do want you to pass my class. Whatever I need to do to help you, I will. You know, I just, by showing you care, is a real big motivating factor for them.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really awesome. That's beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. I want them all to be successful. You know, I want them all to be successful. When I see them at Walmart or whatever, we chat, you know, and a lot of them make me so proud because, you know, they've used the skills that they've been taught in school, in high school to go into college, and it makes me real proud, you know, real proud. We have a lot of good success stories, and you know, it's the kids. They make the effort. You know, we're just facilitators. You know, we're just facilitators. So I give them the credit. You know. Yeah.
So Charles, seeing as this is, you know, part of Independence Day, and we're celebrating you as really as, you know, the people, as somebody who creates that freedom for everybody in this country. I'd just like to close by asking you, like, what is liberty to you? Like, I have it that what you do contributes to everybody's freedom and liberty, but I'm curious what it is to you.
I believe in what the Constitution says. I said, freedom is, for me, is the pursuit of happiness.
Mm-hmm.
If I have the freedom to pursue what makes me happy, or what makes you happy, or my students happy, that's what we need. That you have that freedom to do that, I think we're all going to be a better society because we can follow our dreams, and in America we can accomplish our dreams. And I think that just brings such great satisfaction to me and to my family.
Well, listen, so for you, that it really is, so liberty is the freedom to pursue your dreams, like to go after and do anything you want.
Exactly.
That's what I'm hearing.
Yes.
And listen, Charles, having spent this time with you, I'm so glad to know that our kids are in such great hands.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh.
See, everybody wants you. It's okay, Charles, no problem. Listen, I really, it really is, I'm serious. Like, it's really great to spend this time with you and to see where, I really got how important young people and them being heard, and that for you, that they have practical tools that will allow them to live their dreams. And, it gives me confidence to know that there's people like you out there doing what you're doing. So
thank you for saying that, and thank you for allowing me time to share my dreams and my goals and some of what I do. And I appreciate the new social platform that you're developing as well.
it's gonna be fun. So looks like your family's all missing you. So I'll let you go. You go have a wonderful day with them, and I look forward to connecting with you again soon. Thanks so much, Charles.
Thank you, Eli. You have a great day.
You too. Bye now.
Bye-bye.